The African savannah awakens with the first ray of sunlight, casting a golden hue over a battlefield where peace is an unknown luxury. Across the vast, arid horizon, two groups of predators maintain a constant vigil, their presence felt even in the absence of movement. On one side, the lions, the undisputed kings of the savannah, stand tall and powerful, their muscles rippling beneath golden coats, each step a reminder of their unquestioned dominion. On the other side, the hyenas, cunning and relentless, their sinister laughter echoing across the plains, each cackle a promise of impending war. This is a land where life hangs by a thread, and each dawn brings a renewed struggle for survival. The war between lions and hyenas is one of nature's oldest rivalries, a conflict that transcends mere hunting instincts. It's a battle for power, control, and above all, territory. For the lions, maintaining their dominance means sustaining their families, ensuring the future of their cubs. For the hyenas, the fight is for recognition, for space to hunt and raise their own young. As the sun continues to rise, the tension in the air becomes palpable. The hyenas, always lurking, move as a group, their dark silhouettes stark against the golden grasses of the savannah. They are hungry, but it's not just hunger that drives them. It's the desire for revenge. For many nights, they've been repelled, forced to retreat from kills, to watch as the lions ruled the land and feasted. Now, the hyena clan, led by a ruthless matriarch, feels the moment to strike is approaching. In a nearby clearing, the leader of the lion pride, a powerful male with a thick, dark mane, lifts his head to the wind. He senses the shift in the air, a whisper of challenge. His eyes narrow as he scans the horizon, knowing the hyenas are not far. He does not fear them. On the contrary, he prepares. Beside him, the lionesses move silently, their ears attuned to any suspicious sound. They know the battle is not just a possibility, but an inevitability. As the heat of the day begins to intensify, the two groups draw closer, like storm clouds moving toward a collision point. The morning progresses, and the blistering heat of the savannah turns the landscape into an open-air furnace. The silence that hangs over the terrain is deceptive, for beneath the surface, every sound, every movement carries the promise of violence. The tension in the air is thickening, a prelude to an inevitable clash that will decide the fate of those who live in this unforgiving territory. Moyo, the lion leader, moves slowly at the front of his pride, his golden eyes scanning every detail around him. He feels the weight of responsibility on his powerful shoulders. His scars, marks of past battles, tell stories of victories and losses. But today, he knows he faces a different kind of threat, one that won't easily dissipate. The hyenas have grown increasingly bold, testing the boundaries, hunting on the edges of the lion's territory, provoking and challenging Moyo's authority. Hey guys, it means a lot to me that you're here watching, and I'm excited to keep doing it for you. If you want to support me and help with my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Your support would mean a lot and give me the motivation to continue on this adventure. The lionesses, ever vigilant, keep a tight formation around their cubs, shielding the future of the pride. The females, fierce and fearless, are the most crucial line of defense, and they know it. The hot wind carries the scent of hyenas, a foul odor that causes the lionesses to tense, their instincts sharp and ready for what is to come. Moyo's muscles ripple under his tawny coat as he continues forward, his senses heightened, aware that every step brings him closer to confrontation. Across the savannah, the hyena clan is on the move. Led by matriarch Sura, a seasoned and ruthless leader, they move as one, their eyes gleaming with a mix of hunger and anticipation. Sura is no stranger to the dangers of this land. She has survived countless battles, outwitted predators, and led her clan through times of scarcity and abundance. Today, she is determined to push the limits further, to take what the lions have claimed as theirs. The hyenas advance with calculated precision, their movements synchronized, a testament to their pack mentality. They are not just scavengers, but skilled hunters, capable of overwhelming prey with their sheer numbers and relentless persistence. As they draw closer to the lion's territory, their laughter, sharp and unnerving, pierces the stillness, a sound that echoes across the plains and sends a chill through the heart of the savannah. Moyo stops abruptly, his ears twitching at the sound. He knows that laughter well. It is a challenge, a declaration of intent. The lionesses growl softly, their bodies low to the ground, muscles coiled like springs, ready to unleash their fury at a moment's notice. The cubs, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, huddle closer to their mothers, their young eyes wide with fear and curiosity. The standoff begins. Sura positions herself at the front of the hyena pack, her sharp eyes locking onto the distant figures of the lions. She knows Moyo is out there, and she knows he will not back down. But neither will she. Her clan needs more territory, more food, and this land, fertile and rich, offers exactly what they need. The lions, strong as they are, have ruled these plains for too long. It is time for a change, and Sura is ready to lead the charge. The distance between the two groups narrows with each passing moment. The hyenas, numbering in the dozens, fan out, forming a semicircle, their eyes glowing with malice as they prepare to encircle the lions. Moyo stands his ground, his gaze fixed on the approaching threat. He knows that a full-scale confrontation could mean the death of his pride, but retreat is not an option. His pride depends on his strength, his ability to protect them from any threat. The lionesses grow more agitated, their growls growing louder, more insistent. They are prepared to fight to the death if necessary, to defend their cubs and their home. Moyo's eyes flicker to each of his lionesses, silently communicating his strategy. They will not make the first move, but they will be ready to strike with deadly force when the time comes. The tension is unbearable as the two groups finally come face to face. The hyenas, close enough now that the lions can see the wicked gleam in their eyes, snap their jaws, their cackles echoing in a cacophony of sound. Moyo lets out a low, resonant roar, a warning, a last chance for the hyenas to back down. But Sura is unmoved. She takes a step forward, her pack following suit, and lets out a long, chilling laugh in response. The lions tense, their claws digging into the earth, eyes blazing with defiance. This is not just a battle for survival. It is a battle for dominance, for the right to rule these lands. And as the first rays of the afternoon sun beat down on the savannah, both sides know that there can only be one victor. The air is thick with anticipation, the calm before the storm. Moyo lowers his head, his eyes locked on Sura's, and the lionesses shift in preparation, ready to unleash their fury at the slightest provocation. The hyenas, undeterred, inch closer, their movements slow and deliberate, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The savannah holds its breath, the tension winding tighter, each side poised on the brink of chaos, knowing that the first move will ignite a brutal, merciless battle from which there will be no easy retreat. A single sharp bark from one of the hyenas shatters the tense silence, like a crack of thunder before a storm. It's the signal they've all been waiting for. In an instant, the savannah erupts into chaos. Sura surges forward, her clan following in a tidal wave of snarls and snapping jaws. The hyenas descend upon the lion pride with a ferocity born from desperation and hunger. The lionesses, led by Moyo's silent command, spring into action. They form a protective circle around the cubs, their fangs bared and claws unsheathed, ready to meet the oncoming onslaught. The first clash is brutal. A young lioness lunges at a hyena, her powerful jaws closing around its neck, but another hyena attacks from the side, sinking its teeth into her flank. She roars in pain but doesn't let go, shaking her attacker violently until its neck snaps. The hyena drops lifeless to the ground, but the victory is short-lived. Another hyena immediately takes its place, and the battle rages on. Moyo charges into the fray, his roar shaking the very ground beneath him. He targets Sura, recognizing her as the leader. The two lock eyes, and for a moment, the chaos around them seems to freeze. It's a standoff between two generals, both knowing that the outcome of their duel could determine the fate of their respective groups. Sura doesn't flinch. She knows Moyo is stronger, but she is faster and more cunning. She darts to the side as Moyo lunges, his massive paw swiping through the air where she stood just moments before. Sura retaliates with a bite to his hind leg, drawing blood. Moyo roars in anger and pain, turning swiftly to counter, but Sura is already gone. Weaving through the melee with practiced agility, the lionesses hold their ground against the onslaught, each one engaged in a desperate fight to protect their cubs. The air is filled with the sounds of battle, roars, growls, the snap of jaws, and the screams of the wounded. The cubs huddle together, eyes wide with terror, their small bodies trembling as they watch their mothers fight for their lives. One lioness, separated from the group, finds herself surrounded by 3 hyenas. She fights valiantly, her claws slashing through fur and flesh, but the numbers are against her. The hyenas close in, their teeth tearing into her sides. She manages to take one down with a final desperate swipe, but the others overwhelm her, dragging her to the ground. Her roars turn to whimpers as the life drains from her body, but her sacrifice buys the others precious time. Moyo, bleeding and enraged, finally manages to land a powerful blow on Sura. He catches her mid-leap, his massive paw connecting with her side and sending her tumbling across the ground. She scrambles to her feet, dazed and wounded, but still defiant. Moyo advances, his breath heavy, his eyes burning with the intensity of a predator who knows he has the upper hand. But Sura is not ready to concede defeat. With a cunning gleam in her eyes, she lets out a series of rapid barks. It's a call to her clan, and they respond immediately, rallying around their leader. The hyenas swarm Moyo, their sheer numbers forcing him to back away from Sura. He roars in frustration, lashing out at the attackers. But for every hyena he throws off, 2 more take its place. The lionesses see their leader in trouble and move to help, but they are cut off by another wave of hyenas. The battlefield becomes a frenzy of fur, claws, and blood. The lions fight with everything they have, their muscles burning, their breath coming in ragged gasps. But the hyenas are relentless, their pack mentality driving them to press the attack without mercy. Sura, though wounded, sees her chance. While Moyo is distracted by the swarm, she circles around, her eyes fixed on the vulnerable cubs. If she can get to them, the lions will be forced to retreat, and victory will be hers. She moves with purpose, dodging the few lionesses left guarding the young, her jaws snapping at the air as she closes in. But just as Sura prepares to strike, a shadow looms over her. Moyo, bloodied but unbroken, roars with a fury that shakes the very earth. He barrels through the hyenas in his path, his only focus on stopping Sura. The hyena matriarch realizes too late that she has underestimated the lion's resolve. Moyo's massive form collides with her, and they tumble across the ground in a blur of teeth and claws. For a moment, the battle seems to hang in the balance, the outcome uncertain. Sura thrashes beneath Moyo, trying to free herself, but his strength is overwhelming. He pins her down, his jaws closing around her throat. The hyenas, seeing their leader in peril, hesitate. For the first time, doubt flickers in their eyes. With a final, desperate effort, Sura manages to wrench herself free, but the damage is done. She is severely wounded, her movements sluggish as she stumbles away from Moyo. The lioness sees the shift in the hyena's resolve and lets out a triumphant roar, rallying her pride. The tide is beginning to turn, but the battle is far from over. In the distance, the sun begins its descent, casting long shadows over the blood-soaked ground. Both sides are weary, their bodies battered and bruised. The hyenas, sensing their leader's defeat, start to falter, their movements less coordinated, their attacks more hesitant. Moyo, despite his injuries, stands tall, his presence commanding. He knows that one final push could end this once and for all. But Sura is not one to give up easily. She struggles to her feet, her eyes burning with a mix of hatred and desperation. She lets out one last defiant laugh, a sound that sends chills down the spine of every creature within earshot. She knows that even if she falls, the battle will not end here. The war between lions and hyenas is a war of attrition, a struggle for survival that will continue long after this day is done. The savannah, now a battlefield littered with the fallen, holds its breath as the final moments of the fight approach. Moyo, bloodied and scarred, gathers his remaining strength, ready to deliver the final blow. Sura, weakened but unyielding, prepares for one last stand. Both know that only one can emerge victorious, but the cost of victory may be higher than either is willing to pay. The tension builds once more, the air thick with the scent of blood and the promise of death. The stage is set for the final confrontation, where the future of both pride and clan will be decided. As the sun dips lower, casting the battlefield in an eerie twilight, the world seems to hold its breath, waiting for the inevitable clash that will seal the fate of all who dare to claim this land as their own. As the sun dips lower in the sky, casting an ominous orange glow over the savannah, the air thickens with the scent of blood and fear. The once pristine landscape is now a battlefield, strewn with the bodies of the fallen. The ground, once firm, is churned into a chaotic mess of dirt and blood. The roars of lions and the cackles of hyenas fill the air, creating a cacophony of sounds that reverberates across the plains. Moyo stands at the center of this storm, his massive frame heaving with exertion, his golden fur matted with blood, both his own and that of his enemies. His eyes, once sharp and clear, are now clouded with a mix of pain, fatigue, and burning resolve. He surveys the scene around him, the chaos of battle, and knows that this is the moment that will determine the future of his pride, the moment that will decide who will rule these lands. The hyenas, led by the ruthless matriarch Sura, have not relented. Their numbers, their sheer tenacity, are wearing down the lions. Sura, though wounded, has managed to rally her clan, and they now press their advantage with renewed ferocity. The lionesses, despite their bravery and strength, are starting to falter under the relentless assault. Each lioness is engaged in a desperate battle for survival, their movements slower, their strikes less forceful. The cubs, huddled together, watch with wide eyes as their mothers fight for their lives. Moyo knows he must act now. If he hesitates, if he falters, the hyenas will overwhelm them. He lets out a roar that shakes the earth, a sound so powerful it seems to momentarily freeze the battle. The lionesses, hearing their leader's call, find a renewed strength within themselves. They push back against the hyenas with everything they have, teeth and claws, slashing through the air, driven by the knowledge that there is no other option but victory. Sura, sensing the shift, orders her hyenas to regroup. She knows that to defeat Moyo, she must break his spirit, and the best way to do that is to target the cubs. With a sinister grin, she signals to a group of hyenas, and they begin to circle around the perimeter of the battlefield, moving towards the vulnerable cubs. The lionesses see this and roar in protest, but they are too entangled in their own fights to break free and protect their young. Moyo sees the threat and charges towards the advancing hyenas, but Sura is ready. She intercepts him, her jaws snapping inches from his face. Moyo roars and swipes at her, but she ducks under his paw and bites down on his hind leg, hard. Moyo snarls in pain and turns to attack, but Sura is already moving, her agility allowing her to stay just out of reach of his powerful strikes. The two engage in a deadly dance, Moyo's brute strength clashing against Sura's speed and cunning. Each time Moyo thinks he has her cornered, she slips away, her movements fluid and precise. The hyenas, emboldened by their leader's example, press their attack on the lionesses, their cackles growing louder, more confident. The lionesses are tiring, their bodies battered, their energy waning. The cubs, sensing the danger, begin to whimper, their small cries piercing through the noise of battle. Sura lands a vicious bite on Moyo's shoulder, tearing through flesh and muscle. Moyo roars in agony, but refuses to back down. He knows that if he falls, the pride falls with him. Summoning every ounce of strength left in his massive body, he charges at Sura with renewed fury. This time, he catches her off guard. his massive paw slamming into her side and sending her sprawling across the ground. For a moment, Sura is dazed, her vision blurred, her body screaming in pain. Moyo towers over her, his eyes burning with the intensity of a lion who knows that he must end this now. He raises his paw, ready to deliver the final blow. But before he can strike, a group of hyenas rushes to Sura's aid, their jaws latching onto Moyo's legs and flanks, pulling him away from their leader. Moyo roars in frustration, lashing out at the hyenas with wild fury, but their numbers are overwhelming. They drag him down, their teeth sinking into his flesh, trying to pull him to the ground. Sura, seeing her chance, staggers to her feet. She is wounded, bleeding, but she is not defeated. With a vicious snarl, she joins the attack, her jaws finding purchase on Moyo's neck. The lionesses, seeing their leader in dire straits, roar in unison and charge towards the hyenas, their exhaustion forgotten in the face of Moyo's peril. They slam into the hyenas with the force of a storm, teeth and claws tearing through their ranks, desperate to reach Moyo before it's too late. The hyenas, caught off guard by the ferocity of the lioness's attack, begin to falter, their confidence shaken. Moyo, with a final Herculean effort, throws off the hyenas clinging to him and rises to his feet. His body is a mass of wounds, his strength nearly spent, but his spirit is unbroken. He turns to face Sura, his eyes locking onto hers with a gaze that speaks of determination, of a will that refuses to be crushed. Sura hesitates, for the first time doubt flickering in her eyes. She sees the lionesses closing in, the hyenas around her retreating, their morale shattered by the lioness's relentless assault. In that moment, Sura realizes she has lost. Not just the battle, but the war. She snarls in frustration, her body tense with anger and defeat. Moyo, sensing her hesitation, lets out a thunderous roar that echoes across the savannah, a sound that sends the remaining hyenas fleeing in terror. Sura, knowing she cannot win, turns and runs, her tail between her legs, her once mighty clan scattered and broken. The lionesses, bloodied but victorious, gather around Moyo, their eyes filled with respect and relief. The cubs, no longer afraid, emerge from their hiding place and rush to their mothers, nuzzling against them with small, joyous cries. Moyo, exhausted beyond measure, lowers himself to the ground, his body aching with the pain of his wounds. But he is alive, and so is his pride. The savannah once again falls into an uneasy silence. The bodies of the fallen lie scattered across the battlefield, a grim reminder of the price of survival in this harsh land. The sun, now setting, casts a golden light over the scene, as if the savannah itself is acknowledging the end of the battle. But Moyo knows that this is not truly the end. The war between lions and hyenas is eternal, a never-ending struggle for dominance and survival. Today, the lions have won, but tomorrow could bring another challenge, another battle for territory, for life itself. As the last rays of sunlight disappear beyond the horizon, Moyo closes his eyes, his breathing steadying as he allows himself a moment of rest. The lionesses keep watch, their eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of further danger. They know that they cannot afford to be complacent, that the next threat could come at any time, and so the cycle of life in the savannah continues, where every day is a battle, and only the strongest, the most determined, can hope to survive. Moyo's victory today is just one chapter in the endless saga of life and death that plays out in this unforgiving land. But for now at least, the pride can rest, knowing that they have fought bravely, that they have won, and that their territory, their home, remains theirs, at least for one more day. As Moyo rests briefly, his senses remain alert. The battle may be over, but the savannah is never truly safe. The lionesses, vigilant and battle-weary, maintain their positions around the pride. Their eyes gleam with the knowledge that they have survived yet another trial, but their bodies are tense, ready to spring into action at the first sign of danger. Sura, now retreating with the remnants of her once formidable clan, stumbles across the open plains. Each step is a reminder of her defeat, each breath a painful acknowledgement that she has lost not just this battle, but the confidence and unity of her pack. The hyenas that once rallied behind her now scatter, driven by fear and instinct to survive at any cost. They no longer look to her for leadership. Instead, they seek only to escape the wrath of the lions and the memory of their failure. But even in retreat, Sura's mind races. She is a creature of strategy and defeat, while bitter is not unfamiliar. She knows that she must regroup, must find a way to recover her strength and the loyalty of her clan. The savannah does not allow for the weak to survive, and Sura, even in her wounded state, refuses to accept that her time is over. As night begins to fall, the temperature drops and the shadows lengthen. The savannah, bathed in the cool glow of the rising moon, takes on an eerie stillness. The sounds of battle have faded, replaced by the subtle rustling of the wind through the grasses and the distant calls of nocturnal creatures emerging to hunt. Moyo, though battered and bruised, rises once more to his feet. His pride surrounds him, their silent support giving him the strength to move forward. He surveys the scene before him, the bodies of fallen hyenas and lions alike, the blood-soaked earth that now serves as a grim testament to the day's events. This territory is theirs, but the cost has been high. The lionesses gather around their leader, their breaths heavy with exhaustion, their eyes reflecting the pain and loss they have endured. Yet, there is also a sense of pride among them, a fierce, unyielding pride in having defended their home, their cubs, and their place in the savannah's hierarchy. They are survivors, warriors who have faced the darkness and emerged victorious, if only for a time. Moyo knows that he must lead them away from this place, to find safety and shelter where they can tend to their wounds and mourn their fallen. The cubs, though safe, are shaken, their innocence shattered by the violence they have witnessed. They cling to their mothers, seeking comfort and reassurance in the aftermath of the battle. But as the pride begins to move, a low, ominous growl echoes through the night. Moyo freezes, his ears twitching as he scans the darkness. The lionesses, sensing the shift in his posture, immediately tense, their eyes narrowing as they search for the source of the sound. From the shadows, a new threat emerges. A lone male lion, his massive frame outlined by the pale light of the moon, steps into view. His eyes, cold and calculating, lock onto Moyo with a predatory intensity. This is not an ally, but a rogue, a challenger seeking to claim the territory and the pride that Moyo has fought so hard to protect. The lionesses growl in unison, their bodies low to the ground, ready to defend their leader once more. But Moyo understands the nature of this new threat. A rogue lion is different from a hyena. He is a direct challenger, one who will not be deterred by numbers or the presence of cubs. His goal is singular and brutal, to overthrow Moyo, kill his cubs, and take the lionesses as his own. The rogue lion roars, a deep, guttural sound that reverberates through the air, shaking the very ground beneath their feet. It is a challenge, a declaration of intent that leaves no room for negotiation. Moyo, though weakened by his earlier battle, roars in response, his voice carrying the weight of a leader who refuses to surrender. The two lions circle each other, their muscles coiled with tension, their eyes never leaving the others. The lionesses watch with bated breath, knowing that the outcome of this duel will determine the fate of the pride. The rogue lion's intentions are clear. He will fight to the death if necessary, and he will show no mercy. Moyo knows that he is at a disadvantage. His body is already weakened, his movements slower, but his resolve is as strong as ever. He cannot afford to lose, not now, not after everything they've fought for. The rogue lion lunges, his powerful jaws aiming for Moyo's throat, but Moyo sidesteps, his own paw lashing out to strike a blow to the rogue's flank. The two lions clash with a force that shakes the earth, their roars echoing across the savannah like thunder. Each blow is met with equal ferocity, each attack countered with precision. The lionesses can only watch, their hearts pounding in their chests, knowing that they cannot intervene, that this is a battle that must be fought alone. Blood spills onto the ground as the two males continue their deadly dance, neither willing to back down, neither willing to concede defeat. Moyo, driven by the need to protect his pride, digs deep into his reserves of strength. his every movement fueled by a primal determination. The rogue, sensing his own opportunity slipping away, becomes more desperate, his attacks more reckless, but no less dangerous. The moon climbs higher in the sky, casting a silver light over the battlefield. The lionesses, their eyes wide with fear and hope, pray for Moyo's victory, knowing that their survival depends on it. The cubs, too young to fully understand the gravity of the situation, watch in silent awe, their small bodies trembling with the tension that hangs in the air. In a final, decisive moment, Moyo manages to catch the rogue off balance. With a powerful swipe of his paw, he sends the rogue sprawling to the ground. Before the challenger can recover, Moyo pounces, his jaws closing around the rogue's neck with a ferocity that leaves no doubt as to the outcome. The rogue struggles, his movements frantic, but Moyo's grip is unyielding. The lionesses hold their breath, their eyes fixed on the scene before them, as Moyo tightens his hold. The rogue's struggles grow weaker, his breath coming in ragged gasps, until finally, with one last, shuddering breath, he goes still. Moyo releases the lifeless body of the rogue, his own body trembling with exhaustion. He stands over his fallen opponent, his chest heaving, his heart pounding in his ears. The lionesses move to his side, their eyes filled with relief and admiration. They nuzzle against him, offering silent support as the realization of their victory begins to sink in. But Moyo knows there is little time for celebration. The savannah is a place of constant danger, where the strong survive and the weak are left behind. They have won this battle, but the war for survival is far from over. The rogue lion may be dead, but there will always be others, other challengers, other threats. As the first light of dawn begins to break on the horizon, Moyo gathers what remains of his pride. They have endured so much, lost so much, but they are still standing. They are still together, and as long as they are together, they have hope. With one last glance at the fallen rogue, Moyo leads his pride away from the battlefield. The lionesses follow, their cubs close at their sides, as they make their way to a new, safer place. The sun rises, casting its warm light over the savannah. A new day dawning with the promise of both danger and opportunity. The savannah has seen many battles, and it will see many more. But for now, Moyo and his pride have earned their rest. They have fought bravely, they have won, and they have secured their place in this unforgiving land. For now. And so, the cycle of life in the savannah continues, where every dawn brings new challenges, and every night brings the hope of survival. The lions, the hyenas, the rogues, all are players in this endless drama, where the stakes are life and death, and the only certainty is that nothing is ever truly certain. But today, at least, Moyo and his pride can rest easy, knowing that they have defended their home, their cubs, and their legacy. They have faced the darkness and emerged into the light, stronger for having fought, and ready to face whatever tomorrow may bring. As the sun rises fully over the savannah, its golden rays chase away the remnants of night, revealing the scars left by the brutal battle. The once blood-soaked ground begins to dry under the warmth of the morning light, and the savannah gradually returns to a deceptive calm. The sounds of the night, roars, growls, and the clash of predators, fade into distant echoes, leaving behind an eerie silence that blankets the land. Moyo leads his pride slowly away from the battlefield, their movements marked by exhaustion, but also by a quiet, resilient strength. Each lioness, though battered and bruised, carries herself with the dignity of a warrior who has faced death and emerged victorious. The cubs, still shaken by the events they have witnessed, cling closely to their mothers, seeking comfort and reassurance in the familiarity of their presence. The pride moves towards a shaded grove, where tall acacia trees offer shelter from the rising heat. It is here that they will rest, tending to their wounds and regaining their strength. The lionesses lie down in a protective circle, their bodies forming a barrier around the cubs, who finally begin to relax, lulled by the soothing presence of their mothers. Moyo, his body aching with the toll of the fight, finds a spot on the edge of the grove where he can keep watch over his pride and the vast expanse of their territory. As he settles, Moyo's eyes scan the horizon. The savannah stretches endlessly before him, a land of beauty and danger, where life and death are intertwined in an eternal dance. He knows that today's victory, hard won as it was, is just one in a series of battles that will continue as long as the pride exists. The rogue lion may be defeated and the hyenas driven off, but Moyo is acutely aware that new challenges will come. The savannah is a place where the strong must constantly prove their strength, where the fight for survival never truly ends. Yet despite the constant threat of danger, there is also a deep sense of pride and satisfaction in Moyo's heart. He has defended his pride, his territory, and his legacy. The lionesses, his trusted companions and fierce protectors, have proven their unwavering loyalty and strength. Together, they have faced the darkness and emerged into the light, their bonds stronger than ever. In the distance, a herd of wildebeest grazes peacefully, unaware of the drama that has unfolded just hours before. The sight of them, calm and oblivious, serves as a reminder of the natural order of the savannah, a cycle of life, death, and renewal that continues unabated. Moyo watches them for a moment, his gaze softening as he reflects on the balance of nature. The savannah, harsh as it may be, is also a place of immense beauty and resilience, where every creature, no matter how small, plays a role in the grand tapestry of life. The lionesses begin to groom one another, a ritual that helps to ease the tension and strengthen their bonds. Their movements are gentle, almost tender, as they lick each other's wounds and clean the dirt and blood from their fur. The cubs, sensing the calm, start to play, their small bodies tumbling over one another in a joyful display of energy. Their laughter, high-pitched and innocent, fills the air, a stark contrast to the violence of the night before. Moyo allows himself a moment of peace, closing his eyes and letting the warmth of the sun seep into his tired muscles. He knows that the future is uncertain, that the pride will face many more trials in the days to come. But for now, they have survived, and that is enough. The savannah is a land of constant change, where only the adaptable and the strong endure, and Moyo is determined that his pride will continue to thrive. As the day progresses, the pride remains in the safety of the grove, resting and recuperating. The hyenas, their morale shattered, have retreated far from the lion's territory, and the rogue lion's body lies still on the battlefield, a silent testament to the price of challenge and the cost of defeat. The savannah, indifferent to the struggles of its inhabitants, carries on, its rhythms unbroken by the battles fought within its bounds. The lionesses, ever watchful, keep an eye on the horizon, knowing that peace is fleeting in this land. They are prepared to defend their cubs, their territory, and their leader with the same ferocity they displayed in the battle. They know that as long as they stand together, they are a force to be reckoned with, a pride that will not be easily broken. As the sun begins its descent, casting long shadows over the savannah, Moyo rises to his feet. He looks out over the land, his land, and takes a deep breath. The air is filled with the scent of the earth, the grass, and the lingering traces of the battle that has shaped this day. But there is also a sense of renewal, a feeling that with the setting of the sun comes the promise of a new beginning. Moyo turns to his pride, his heart swelling with pride and gratitude. They have faced unimaginable dangers, and yet they stand, united and strong. The cubs, their future, their legacy, are safe, and for that, Moyo is deeply thankful. He knows that the road ahead will not be easy, but he also knows that they are ready for whatever comes next. The pride begins to move again, leaving the grove behind as they make their way to a new resting place for the night. The savannah, vast and wild, stretches out before them, full of unknown dangers and opportunities. But as long as they are together, as long as they are led by Moyo, they will face the challenges head-on, with courage and determination. As darkness falls, the pride settles once more, the cubs nestled close to their mothers, the lionesses keeping watch over their domain. Moyo lies at the edge of the group, his gaze fixed on the horizon, where the last light of day fades into night. The stars begin to appear, twinkling in the vast sky above, a reminder of the endless possibilities that the future holds. And so, under the blanket of night, Moyo and his pride rest, their bodies healing, their spirits strong. They are survivors, warriors of the savannah, and as the moon rises high in the sky, they are ready to face whatever tomorrow may bring. The cycle of life continues, and with it, the story of Moyo and his pride, a story of strength, of survival, and of the unbreakable bond